So what are we going to go through today? We're going to go through 2 or 3 things that I want to share with you, simple things, and hopefully you will have all the props that you will need for doing all this stuff. And the first thing I'm going to share with you is how to snort a balloon up your nose. Who wouldn't want to do this? This is a brilliant effect if you work to anyone in the younger market, because it's got the right amount of being icky and horrible without being too over the top. It's also a great piece if you do close-up magic in very posh restaurants and you want to hand in your notice. Multi-purpose. Now, there are 2 important parts to doing this. The first part is an acting part, and the second part is a manipulation part. So we'll teach you the acting part first. Nice and simple. The acting part goes like this. You have to go. There we go. That's it. That's the acting bit. It's just a gentle tossing back of the head. But a little warning, if I can see 1 or 2 people in the audience are sort of my sort of age or above, do make sure you warm up before you do that. We don't want any pulled neck muscles. That would be bad. So, it's only a magic trick after all. Is it really worth it? I don't know. The second part is a manipulation part. What you do with the balloon. Now, the secret here is very, very simple. What you need to do is you need to let go of the balloon and you need to have it actually disappear right inside your hand like that. That is what we're trying to achieve. The one thing you don't want when you're doing this is to end up with a dangly. If you end up with a dangly, to be quite honest, you're screwed. It ain't going to work. So dangly, bad. Okay, disappearing balloon, good. It doesn't matter how well you do the acting bit. If you end up with a dangly, the illusion will be totally ruined. So how do we get the balloon to go inside your hand and actually stay there? This is where the manipulation bit comes in. So here is the manipulation part. So here's the balloon. It's unprepared balloon, which is another wide reason why this is such a great effect, because you can pick up a balloon and do it at any time. Now here's the hole of the balloon, which is, as you can see, it's almost sort of level with my little finger, but not quite sticking out the bottom, and I'm pinching it with my thumb just here, because I need to create a little sort of a little Z-fold with the balloon, which goes like this. What I do is I take the balloon, I fold it down, I fold my pinky finger down, and I fold it back up again, and then I curl my fingers around that little Z-fold that hopefully you can see there. Now, that folded balloon is very, very important, because when I stretch the balloon and release it, the balloon actually sort of contracts right into my hand, gets tangled up with that Z-folded balloon, and doesn't pop back out again. So that's a very, very important reason to have that fold there. You also have to give the balloon maximum stretch. Don't give it a half-hearted stretch, give it the maximum stretch you can. Try to keep this within the camera shot. Full stretch, and when you let go, as long as the balloon isn't dragging on your thumb or your finger, you should find it will pop right in your hand like that, and it will be totally invisible. The only thing that is visible is a little fold of yellow balloon, which you can see around my pinky just down here. But you will easily be able to keep that hidden just by holding your hand in the sort of correct fashion. So put those 2 moves together, you get the balloon up the nose, you let go of this end, the top end. Don't let go of the bottom end, that hurts. I've tried that, it's not good. Let go of the top end and throw your head back at the same second, and you get this marvellous effect of the balloon going up your nose. So here we go. This is the Professor's Nightmare, which is my favourite trick in the world of magic. As I said, it's a classic of magic. It's also a trick which, as magicians, we sometimes go, oh, the Professor's Nightmare, Professor's Nightmare. We've all seen it 100 times before, but let's be honest, we're magicians. We've seen this stuff before. The lay audience haven't seen it before, and this is why we should be performing this trick, because I remember it clearly. It was the first trick I ever saw performed live. I was about 18 or 19 at the time, and sadly I'd never seen a live magician. But I saw this trick and it absolutely fried my brain, it really did, and I remember it so well. So I've been working on it for the last 40 or 50 years, and I'd like to share with you exactly how I handle it now, and hey, maybe I'll learn something new in the future, but I'll share that with you when it comes up. So here's the ropes. Now the ropes I use are 10 inches, 35 inches and 60 inches. I've gone back into old money because I live in America now. I don't know what that is in centimetres. Multiply it by 2.5, you can do that for yourself. 10 inches, 35 inches and 60 inches. And I always hold the ropes in the same way, because if you always hold the ropes in the same way, you never have to look for the rope. You know where it is without even thinking. So on the left hand is how I hold the ropes. Firstly the medium rope, then the short rope, and then the long rope. Now my folding method is slightly different from the classic version, and I hope you will find that there's some advantages over doing it this way. Okay, so here is the first fold. Now what we're going to do in the first set of folds is take the ropes from being all different lengths to being all the same length. So medium rope on the left, short rope in the middle, long rope on the right. Let's do the first fold. The first fold, I'm going to reach round to the audience side. I'm going to take hold of the short rope, which is in the middle rope. I'm going to wrap it around the long rope, and I'm going to place it up here somewhere in the middle. Now, it doesn't matter which side of the short rope it is, as long as it's between the two outside ropes. Okay, that's the first fold. Oh, that's not the patter I use when I'm doing the trick. That was just, just in case, I thought I'd better... Yeah, you worked that out. Fantastic. Okay, so now I've got two more folds to do. The first fold has actually done all the work, because as you can see now, the long rope is already wrapped around the short rope. Sorry, is already wrapped around the long rope. Okay, so I've done all the work already, which means the next two folds, all I have to do is pick up the rope and place it on the right, which is the natural thing to do, and that's a process that I employ in the second sequence as well. So the next two folds, just pick the rope up, place it on the right, pick the rope up, place it on the right, and that is the folding sequence. The next part is how do you make the ropes go all the same length. Now, there's no fiddling around with the ropes at this point. All you're going to do is you're going to take the three ropes on the right hand and the three ropes on the left in the left hand and separate your hands. That's all there is. I will do this in an exposed view, so you can see the ropes, how they work there. Normally your hand covers the dirty work, but as an exposed view, all I have to do at this point is separate my hands, and the rope slips through, and they end up automatically going to all the same length. You can do that. On camera, I tend to do it this way, because the audience then miss the moment because of the actions. Obviously, if you're live, you can do it. You can do it on the on beat. You can actually do it visibly. You can do it on the off beat, where people don't notice for a couple of seconds. I'll leave that up to you, because I sort of experiment and do whatever I want to do on the moment. The other thing I do at this point is I always pause after the stretch. I think sometimes I've seen this happen. People stretch the ropes and they're swinging around all over the place, and people don't get a chance to really see what's happened. So just pause and hold the ropes like this so the audience can take in what's really happened. And also, you're holding up a nice little smiley face to give everyone a warm, glowy feeling inside. You never know, it might work. So we've got the three ropes all the same length there, and we're going to do what I think is for some people the hardest part of this trick, which is the count, where you have to do a false transfer in the middle. Again, I'm going to teach you what I believe is the very simple handling of this, but it is quite complicated for about 1/10 of a second. But your fingers have to do a lot of work. But when you've worked out what your fingers are doing, it's actually very, very simple. But firstly, before we do this, I do want to just run something through with you. This is a magic learning technique. If you want to learn any sleight of hand technique, you should first understand what it looks like when you're not doing the sleight of hand. So if you're doing a coin vanish, where you're placing a coin from one hand to the other, you need to practice how you place that coin from one hand to the other, and you need to learn everything about how you really do the trick before you try and do some sort of retention vanish. So let's actually apply that logic with this count, because this is what it should look like, because I've got three equal length ropes here, and I'm going to count them out one at a time. Okay, there's rope number 1. Notice how it comes out the top of my hand and then it falls to the right. There's rope number 2. Again, this comes out the top of my hand and then it falls to the right. And rope number 3 does exactly the same thing. Okay, so each rope takes the same journey. I'm sad to say that I have seen many magicians actually doing the counts for this bit, and this is what I've seen. I see they take out one rope, they then put that rope back, they then take out 2 ropes like this, and they then take out the 3rd rope. Now, I'm not saying that won't fool anybody, because it will fool quite a lot of people, but I think the closer we can get to what it's meant to look like, the better our magic is. So this is the work that I've done on it so far. I'm going to step closer to the camera so you can see. So here's the ropes. Once again, medium-sized rope is on the left, and there's the folded ropes, the short rope at the top, the long rope at the bottom is to the right of it, and that's how they're held in my hand. This is the count. Okay, firstly I'm going to take the first rope out, which is the medium-sized rope. Notice it comes out the top of my hand and then it falls to the right. Nothing there, I haven't done anything sneaky. Well, actually there's a couple of things I'm going to do. Firstly, I'm going to take my little finger, my pinky finger of my left hand, and I'm going to slip it between the 2 long ropes. That's a get ready for something I'm going to do in a moment, okay? So that's a get ready. The other thing is I'm going to change the grip on this rope, and I'm going to hold it between my first and second finger. Okay? So that's all fairly straightforward, and that sort of happens. I take the rope out, move my pinky finger on the left hand, and hold the rope like this. Now, you know I told you about that 1/10 of a second? It's about to start, so strap yourselves in. Firstly, I've got to place this rope into this hand, and I've got to switch my grip onto the 2 short ropes. So this is how it happens. Firstly, the placement. The medium-sized rope is placed behind your second finger. Okay, that's where it goes. That is the placement. But I don't want to waste any time in having to move things around to do a regrip to grip the 2 short ropes. So what I do is it happens at exactly the same moment as I let go of the medium rope with my fingers. My thumb comes down and clamps on the long rope, the 2 short ropes there. Okay, so as it goes in, I release the medium-sized rope, and at the same second I clamp the long rope, and I can immediately go to pull the ropes out. Okay, so that's the placement, and that's the change of the grip. The last part of the sequence, I'm going to drop the medium-sized rope because that's going to get in the way, because what you need to do, the last part of the sequence, is get this to happen. You need 1 rope to come out of the top of your hand, and 1 rope to hang vertically and move it's going to hang vertically and move horizontally. Yes, I did get that the right way around. Okay, so here we go. This is how that happens, and once again I'm going to show you an exposed view, so I'll raise my hand here. Remember I said you have to put your pinky finger between? That is very helpful, because what you're going to do is do a change of grip with your left hand, and the grip is like this. That's all you're going to do. You're going to release the rope at the top, and you're going to join it underneath, and your pinky finger will help guide you to that position. And that happens at exactly the same moment as you start pulling the ropes out. And that gives you this effect, which means the rope is pulled out the top of your hand, and then it can drop down. So let's put that together in one seamless action. And this is what it should look like. You take the first rope out, pinky finger goes in, change grip. Then you do this move here, which is the tricky one, takes a 1/10 of a second, and then you take the last rope out and slide it out like so. Let me go on to the last bit, which is when we change the 3 ropes from being all the same length to being different lengths again. And this is a move that I believe was invented by Duncan Trillo, who is someone who I'm sure you're all aware of. He of Magic Week fame. He used to do this in his street show, which is where I first met Duncan, working in Covent Garden it was the 1984, I think I started in Covent Garden, more years ago than I care to remember, so we've been friends for that long. And he used to do this move, and I think it's one of those moves which almost got forgotten, because when I asked him about it and talked to him about it, he couldn't remember doing it himself, and he had to go back and look at some old footage so he could work out what he actually did. So this move has been rescued. It could have been forgotten. I'm calling it the Trillo move, unless anyone ever comes up with any information of anyone doing it before, but so far we haven't been able to find any. Let's get on with the move. Oh, the good thing about this is this move is really, really easy. There's no complicated handling at all. This is dead simple. This is how you're holding the ropes. Once again, medium-sized rope on the left, as it always is. There's the 2 short ropes are next to it like so, in exactly the same position as they were when you did the count a few minutes ago. Okay, now, remember I said the important fold is the first one last time. The first fold is the one that's different from the other 2. Same system here. The first fold is the only one you have to think about. The second and third folds, you're just picking up ropes and placing them on the right, which is the natural thing to do. So the first fold, you need to make sure you've got one of the ends of the long rope. And the way I do that is literally my right hand comes in underneath, and I feel here where I can feel the knot of the rope, so I know that I've got the loop, and I know that either of those ends is going to be a long end, and I run my hand down to the bottom. So that happens very naturally like this. My hand comes in, feel for the lump, and then I come right down to the bottom, and I know absolutely that is an end of the long rope. Now, you know I said the natural thing is to place it on the right. In this case, we're going to place that first long end on the left. Okay, under your thumb, tuck it under your thumb. Everything else stays in exactly the same position, in exactly the same order. The next 2 folds are what I call natural folds. You're going to pick up the rope and you're going to place it on the right. You're going to pick up the rope and you're going to place it on the right. Okay, are you all with me so far? You've done it. I can see 1 or 2 of you are following along. That's fantastic. But now I'm not going to show you what we've got here, just so you can see. You've got the ropes held in this position with the fold here. The loopy rope where the short rope loops through the long rope is in the middle, and then you've got a long and a medium and a long there, and a medium and a long there. Really doesn't matter which way round those ropes are, and that's all hidden in the hand. Now all you have to do is drop the ropes 1 at a time from the right hand side in the order that they're in, and it's only when you drop the third rope that anything will happen. So let me show you that from over here, and I will bring it as close to the camera as I can so you can see. I'm dropping the ropes off the, what I call the right hand side, this side here. Okay, so the first rope drops down, nothing happens. The second rope drops down, nothing happens. Now if you have a look at what you've got in your hand, you've now got the next rope you're going to drop is going to release the loop just here, and the ropes will change back. But to do that, you just need to give it a little bit of a little sort of jerk with your wrist, and you do that and it falls down and you're back to where you started. Now don't change your grip here yet, because you've got the final display, and the final display I think is very important, because at this point you want to be able to show the ropes in order, short, medium and long. And if you just work from the top down, you should have the short rope, which you can show and you can drop on the table. The medium sized rope comes out next, which you can show and drop on the table, and as you take the long rope out, it brings you into a natural applause position like so, which should garner a marvellous round of applause from the audience at your table or wherever it is you are performing. And that, my friends, is for now my work on the Professor's Nightmare. Thank you very much indeed. Now, whew. So, last thing I'd like to share with you is probably my favourite opening routine for any show I do where there are children in the audience, and you'll probably see why in a few seconds. It uses a thumb tip. Hopefully many of you have got one of those around the house, and it is basically the trick where we actually take a little red silk hanky and vanishing it in a thumb tip. Now, many of you may have tried this trick, you may have played with this trick. One of the problems I had with it a few years ago was looking at audiences of kids. So many of them have had magic sets for Christmas, or they've seen magic on YouTube, and the thumb tip exists in so many of those magic sets. So as soon as you start vanishing that little red silk hanky, half the audience immediately know what you're doing. But it's a great trick. It's a brilliant trick, so we have to work out a way of changing things up a bit so the audience aren't immediately taken back to the magic set or the thing that they've seen on YouTube. Now, the first thing you can do to move people away from the thumb tip concept is get rid of that red silk hanky and buy yourself one of these. This is a thumb tip streamer. They are absolutely fantastic. They're about almost 1 metre long. They're about 1.5 inches wide, and it seems crazy that something like this would actually fit inside a thumb tip. And that's the first thing, your first self-defense, to stop the audience actually thinking you're using a thumb tip. Because I've done this, and I've had people say, oh, I've seen people making a little hanky disappear inside a thumb, but you obviously can't do that. I've had it said to me. So that's the first thing. The second thing that's going to work in your favour is the patter. So nothing else we're changing apart from the patter. And this is what I do. I'll tell you what I do and the reactions, so hopefully it'll be all clear why it works and why I think this is such a nice piece. So this is almost the opening effect I do whenever there are children in the audience. So that's my rules for this piece. The first thing I do is I say, I really wanted to show you the trick with the silk ribbon, but unfortunately they told me I'm not allowed to do it today. So I've told them what I wanted to do and told them I couldn't do it. And you see people in the audience going, oh. And I'm planting a seed. I actually want to change their emotional state, because I think that's a very important thing we have to do when we're doing any type of theatre, is change people's emotional state. And as I start to change their state, I'm going to pour salt on the wound. And I'm going to say this, I'm going to say, and that's a great shame, because this is probably one of the best tricks I do. So I'm now telling them I'm not going to do the best trick I do. So already they're feeling a bit hacked off. And then I follow that up by saying, but I can tell you about it, which is almost as good. Because what I normally do is I take the ribbon and push it down into my hand like this, and to the amazement of the audience, I make it totally and absolutely disappear. Now obviously I'm not going to be doing that today. Now obviously up until this point that's just basic thumb tip handling, but the patter that I've used I've said I'm not going to do it, and I've actually done it. Now I'm now scanning the audience and I'm looking for the first child to go like this. It's the big intake of breath, and it always happens with a sort of moving back action, because he's about to shout out. He's just a bit brighter than the other kids in the room. He's going to go, you made it disappear. Now, I'm watching for the first kid to be doing that, because as I see his head go back and he's about to shout, I immediately raise the thumb tip and this hand up, and I get ready to start reproducing the silk. So as soon as he says, you made the ribbon disappear, I start pulling out my hand here at the same second. So he shouts, you made the ribbon disappear. I look like this. I look at the ribbon and I go, no, I didn't. It's still here. Now, the rest of the audience at this point are probably going to side with the child, and they're going to say, actually, young man, well, they used to say young man, not so young anymore. They actually now say, actually, you did make the ribbon disappear. And I say, no, I think you'll find it's still here. So we have a little bit of a discussion about it. But here is the real magic of this moment. The more the audience try and convince me that I made the ribbon disappear, at the end of the day, when all is said and done, the people they're really convincing are themselves. If they have a bit of a discussion with me about it, they'll be even more convinced. If they have an argument with me about it, they'll be even more convinced. And the more convinced they are, the more powerful the memory that is created will be. And that memory will live with them for years to come. And at the end of the day, it's just a simple trick with a ribbon and a thumb tip. It's all about how you do it.